Hello, welcome to the United Man. My name is Shane. This is the Manchester United v Watford review and reaction. We're going to get into their man of the match performance. We're going to also be getting into who you feel impacted the game without making the necessary man of the match performance. How you feel Bruno Fernandes did, Martial, Maguire. Obviously, Eric Bailly didn't start as we sort of wanted to, as we touched on in the preview. We're going to be going through also how we're going to rate our players out of 10 as well, in terms of who was the most impact player that we have available. If we start with, first of all, I want to start with the fact that it's another clean sheet. Another clean sheet is, I just feel like, as I said before, I'll touch on it again, touch on it in preview, touch on it previous times. I don't believe we have a bad defense or bad defensive players. I believe the the lack of quality in midfield was inviting a load of pressure onto our team. The fact that we're getting some players back now, we was able to bring on Scott McTominay from the bench. Later on in the game, we made three substitutions all at once. The fact that we're able to make a host of changes in central midfield and up front helps us, I believe. Now, that's another clean sheet. We're not conceding goals, which is great. But as I said before in the preview, the fact that we're putting players in positions on the team sheets that can either create for others or create their own opportunities, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So the fact that we've gone out there today, we've won 3-0, absolutely brilliant. I can't say I'm surprised it's 3-0 against Watford at home, but obviously on the return leg, they did beat us at their ground. So 3-0 at home, brilliant. All of our attacking players, the guys that I mentioned in the preview, Martial can create and score his own shot and create for others. So can Mason Greenwood in terms of creating his own goal scoring opportunities. Also, Bruno Fernandes can create for others and score his own goals, obviously. So, as I said before, getting the players on the pitch that can affect the game in a positive way, absolutely crucial. Getting more players on the pitch that can either score or create for others, absolutely crucial. And that's what we have today. We had three players on the pitch today that I felt could create their own opportunity and make opportunities for themselves. And all three of them scored today. So that's Martial, Greenwood, and Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, let's touch on Bruno Fernandes' performance. I feel he had a hand in every single goal. Obviously, he won the penalty and took it and scored it himself. Had a hand in a 1-2 with Mason Greenwood. Had a hand in the through ball for Martial's goal. Bruno Fernandes, for me, listen, defensively, as I said, we look pretty good. Obviously, Watford had a couple of opportunities. Goal disallowed through VAR. Well, I feel that with defensively, we were solid enough today. We didn't concede many chances. We didn't look like conceding a whole host of goals. Once we get our consistent midfield in place with quality in terms of holding possession and ball, I think we had 57% of the possession today, which is good. We had plenty of shots, plenty of chances created, scored a few goals, which is fantastic. I would like to see, it's me being greedy, would like to see 3 or 4 goals. That's just me being greedy. So, but fantastic win today. I don't want to get ahead of myself in terms of the actual individual win, but I am doing is looking on the consistency of performances. Now, we've had quite a few results now, so where we're not conceding goals, that's massive, that's huge. I take Club Brugge game out of the equation purely because that was a European game. We rested a load of players with this game in mind. I believe Ollie's going after the Champions League spot. I really do. Now, we're only a few points off Chelsea. But what I believe we need to do now, we need to create some separation between ourselves and Sheffield United, who's behind us, and Tottenham, who's behind us, and Wolves, who's behind us. Obviously, we're directly behind Chelsea now. We just need to create some separation now. That's the next thing we need to get done is create a bit of a gap. It's going to be difficult. We're heading towards March, and there's still only, I think it's 5 points between, I think it's ourselves. Yep. So, yeah. So Wolves in 8th place and Chelsea in 4th place. There's 5 points in it. 5 points. Let's see who's in the chat anyway. Dwight Hastings, great game today, but I feel Igalo should have come on earlier. Again, I touched on it on my preview. The fact that I said it was based on how early Igalo comes on is based on how well Martial does and is doing. So, however, I agree with you there, Dwight. I feel like yeah, definitely it would have been good to see Igalo coming earlier. Raymond, great performance by the lads. I completely agree, mate. Omar, decent game. Defense needs to be more disciplined. Yeah, there was some lapses in concentration, but overall, I still feel like we marshaled the game well. I don't feel like we were giving them opportunities like we've done in this season. So I think concentration wise, yeah, that could always improve. Hard to stay completely focused and concentrated for 90 minutes, but we've done a decent job today. We just need to make sure that we've got the screening, the athleticism in front of our defence to ensure that the midfield runners, if they are coming onto us, that they're tracked and we're making interceptions or tackles before they get to our defence. Muso Galo should be given more time. Yeah, I completely agree. Just touching on, well, yeah, that's what Dwight said earlier as well. A bit more time in terms of minutes, but let's not forget he was on a preseason. He wasn't playing, so he's still working back to fitness as well. So that will take a bit of time. But these are the games you'd like to see, and Club Bruges, where you'd like to see him play a load more minutes. That's for sure. Scott, yeah, he's finally back. Let's go, United. We can do it. Listen, it's gonna be, and that was from Raymond Moore there. It's gonna be tight going up towards the end of the season. It's gonna be so tight. I'm looking forward to it. It's a massive challenge. I feel like we're gonna get the opportunity to go in and close in on maybe a 4 or 5 game run now in terms of wins. We may drop a couple of points, but then go on another run. That's what it's gonna take. I don't think between now and the end of the season, can we go without a loss? I know we've got some big games coming up, but that's what I feel it's going to take. Between now and the end of the season, I feel like we're going to have to go. We can maybe afford 1 loss and maybe 1 draw. Other than that, that's 4 points dropped. Other than that, we've got to win every single game. And the only reason I say we can possibly afford 1 loss is because the teams in and around us, which are even Burnley's sort of, well, 5 points off us as well. So Wolves, Sheffield United, Tottenham, and Chelsea. I think between now and the end of the season, I think that they're all going to drop points. That's why I say I feel we can. What's that? So there's 11 games left now in the season. So for me, if we drop 1 game in terms of a loss and another game in terms of points, I feel like in that group, there's going to be between 3 and 4 other teams in that group, in and around us, that will do the same. They'll either lose a game or they'll either draw a game. So that's why I think realistically, it's not to say that we can afford it. I obviously don't want it to be the case, but I feel like that's what all of us will do. So that's why the points, as we stand right now on the 23rd of Feb, still only between 8th and 4th place. There's only 5 points, as I said. So yeah, I feel like that's going to be the case. Points are going to be dropped from all teams in those positions. Dwight Hastings is saying, and sometimes in the final third we're lacking. Yeah, again, as I said before, I still don't believe that we're going to be able to just rely on Bruno Fernandes. As creative as Bruno Fernandes is, we're going to need a quality possession midfielder next to him, because Bruno Fernandes will always try and force the ball. He'll always try and force goal scoring opportunities. With that, there'll be times when he's not completing his passes, where people are intercepting the balls, because he's looking for that killer ball a lot more often than anyone else in the side. So for me, even Pogba is not that sort of possession-based midfielder. He likes to try a trick. He'll lose the ball every now and then. We need someone who's safe in receiving the ball under pressure, safe in possession, a very good, accurate passer as well. We need basically a box-to-box midfielder who's very good in possession. I suppose I'm describing Paul Pogba here, but ultimately we know we're going to lose Pogba more than likely. So Bruno Fernandes is a risk taker, which is why he will get lots of opportunities, which is why he'll score plenty of goals, I believe. Obviously, he's running to the box today, winning that penalty. For me, he was man of the match because he was forcing the game. But when you've got Bruno Fernandes supplying the likes of Martial with that through ball, obviously Martial missed the initial chance that Bruno Fernandes slipped through the ball through to him. but obviously on the rebound, obviously dinked over the keeper, brilliant finish. The 1-2 with Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood, fantastic finish. We know Greenwood has that in his locker. I just feel like Bruno Fernandes sees that pass a lot quicker than most other players in the Premier League. Hence why he had ridiculous stats, 34 goals and 21 assists, 22 assists last season. As I said before, he's not going to get those type of numbers in the Premier League. But even if you're half in those numbers, 15 goals, 10, 11 assists, brilliant. Still fantastic from a central midfielder. Effectively, that's what Paul Pogba's been doing the last few seasons, just to make a point. But as I said, Bruno Fernandes forcing the issue from time to time, a lot more than others. He'll lose the ball on occasion because he's taking more risks. Risks versus rewards, that's how it goes. So as a result, I think his pass completion today was only about, I think, 69%, which I think Man United were stating in the summer. That's why they didn't actually go in for him, because his passing accuracy wasn't good enough. Everyone can see, if you've not seen the game today, if you watch the highlights later, you can see how much of an effective player Bruno Fernandes is. He works very. Don't get it mistaken as well. He works hard. He works very, very hard, and I think that's something we shouldn't take for granted. He will leave his foot in as well, but he's a goal scoring, creative midfielder naturally. So yeah, let's have a look. What else? Let's go back to the comments. Ollie Frank says, wow, what a win. I completely agree there. Ultimatum says, what do you think about Lingard as a bench option? Because he was an impact sub sometimes against Chelsea and Burnley. Not this season, but he still gives us energy to rest Bruno when we're winning. Listen, that's why I said to one of the comments the other day when I was live yesterday about getting rid of Lingard as Deadwood. I said, look, as a starter, I completely agree. He's not a starter. But as a man who ultimately, he does have bundles of energy. He does have some quality enough to come off the bench. So for me, I wouldn't want to get rid of all of our squad players, because then all we have then is potential starting 11 players who believe they should be starting every game and then getting unhappy. That affects morale, the consistency of the team. And then so you do need squad players that aren't good enough for the starting 11, that can come on and make an impact, or can come on and basically hold stand pat, that can come on and basically hold what we've already got. And I believe that's what Jesse Lingard can do. That's so just to answer that question there from the ultimatum. Also, hope your hand is going to recover soon, bro. Much appreciated, man. For those you that don't know, me still thinking that I'm the young spring chicken that I was a while back. I was playing football last week, Tuesday. Just nothing major. Tripped over, obviously landed on all fours. Thumb got dislocated, was down there. Had an operation Monday gone and whatnot. And basically I'd ruptured ligaments, tendons, chalked off a piece of bone, obviously dislocated it. So yeah, that's why I got this thing on here. But yeah, much appreciated, man. Be fighting fit in no time at all. But yeah, no, back to it then. So Rasmus, how's it going, Rasmus? How's it going, man? Dwight Hastings, we have the better chance to be in the top four because while we have players coming back from injuries and others picking up injuries. Yeah, so big point there. So Eric Bailly coming back, playing his first game the other day. I think he looked brilliant. So that's why I thought Ollie was going to go Bailly again today. He didn't. He chose not to. You know, it seemed to work out for him for one reason or another. But for me, if Lindelof is not the answer as Harry Maguire's partner, you need someone that said time and time again, you need someone that's going to complement Maguire. That's not Lindelof. I feel Eric Bailly is better suited to that. We need to give him between now and the end of the season to see, right, is this going to be the guy? Is he going to stay injury-free? Which his past history states not. But if he does, then I think Man United will stand pat. They won't go and sign another centre-back because likes of Eric Bailly and Tuanzebe still maybe to prove themselves. And because we need to strengthen in other areas first, midfield, again, another central midfielder to replace Pogba. Well, maybe we've got that in Bruno Fernandes already, but then obviously Pogba goes, we need to bring in someone else, another top quality midfielder. And then we've also got a striker. I believe we need Unless Martial, as I said before yesterday, unless Martial goes on an absolute tear between now and the end of the season, we're going to need to buy another number 9. Simple as that. And I feel like with Martial performing with dribs and drabs, like I said, this is his second full season playing as Manchester United's number 9. That was his first season where he done really well, and now obviously because we've sold in between time, we've had Ibrahimovic and we've had Lukaku. So Martial, this is his time. So for me, if he doesn't go on and score 25 goals this season, which he's going to have the opportunity to score them goals with Bruno Fernandes in the side now, and as you said, players coming back. McTominay come back today, obviously came on. That's a plus. Pogba, whether or not Pogba comes back and plays between now and the end of the season, I haven't got a clue, but we shall see. But for me, Martial needs to step up. Martial needs to say, look, I'm the number 9. I'm going to take down this mantle. I'm going to be the number 9 going forward. And he scored a very good headed goal, which I haven't seen Martial do recently at all. So if he can add headed goals to his game, as Mason Greenwood, I was watching an interview with Mason Greenwood the other day. He said he wants to get some more headed goals where the ball's coming in, he's going bang. So if he can add that to it, then brilliant. But ultimately, I feel as we stand right now, I feel like Ollie needs to invest in a top-notch centre forward. Again, there's not too many knocking around. We just missed out on Erling Haaland, obviously, but we'll have to see what comes about. But we definitely need another central midfielder, I believe. Mizzou says, then let's not complain much about Martial. He's still getting used to number 9. Even the manager said it. He was like Martial used to play as a winger, so he's getting used to it. We'll see the best of him soon. I completely hope so. As was just touching on there with Martial. I really hope that for the sake of Martial, for the sake of Manchester United not having to go and splash the cash again, I hope that Martial does fulfill that potential, does fulfill that role, and we don't have to go and look for number 9 again. I feel like, and like you said, he's been playing winger, which he has done, but he's also been playing as a number 9. As he started, as he's come back in, he's been swapping with Rashford, swapped with Lukaku from time to time, but now is the time for him to shine. Rashford's not even in the side. So Martial is the main source of goals. If he can't get the 25 goals between now and the end of the season, it's a tall ask, I know, but that's what we're going to need. We're going to need those goals. We can't rely on Greenwood. He's an 18-year-old kid, turned 18 in October. We can't expect from Greenwood. He's just coming to the side. We can't be putting any pressure on him. So for me, the pressure has to be with Martial in terms of producing the goods for goals for us. So that's where I feel we need to look for goals. Rasmus, we should go for third spot. Leicester is not in form. It's a good point there. Leicester obviously losing to City narrowly. They had a few chances. I saw that game as well. That could have been anything. I think Leicester, if they'd taken their chances, maybe would have finished 2-1, but they didn't. Red 92, pity Ed hadn't pulled the finger out and got Bruno at the start of the season. It's a good point. If we'd got Bruno at the beginning of the season, like we was all crying out for, like we could all see we needed, regardless whether Paul Pogba was staying or not, there was still a space for Bruno Fernandes to come in. Raymond Moore says Bruno is so reliable. He can take free kicks, penalties, corners, as well. He can finish opportunities too. Absolutely, I feel like with Bruno Fernandes, and that's why I didn't understand Bruno Fernandes. Why no one else across Europe went and got him? Why did no one else go and invest in him? Like the stats were ridiculous. There was. And it wasn't just last season. The season before that, he started doing the same thing this season as well. So why people aren't going in? It's not even to say it's a massive gamble because it's not a one-trick pony. He was still only 24. So I don't know why, there wasn't a massive queue for him. Strange. Very, very strange. Rodney Joseph. Milinkovic-Savic of Lazio is the perfect fit. Milinkovic-Savic, I'd love to see that. But that's another 85 mil that you're looking at having to pay realistically, where and there's no guarantees that he's going to want to come to us anyway. We need players that want to be at Man United. We need players that want to perform in the red shirt. So for me, I'd love that to be the case, but I think that's I think that's a bit of a pipe dream. And he's very similar to Paul Pogba as well. So if that was happened, brilliant. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. Imagine if we signed Bruno in the summer transfer window, we would have been in third spot or maybe even second. Hard to say, but that's in hindsight. You never know. Red Devil Weekly, so good to finally be able to say we have someone who can put quality balls into the box and create chances at will. That's what he does, and that's my guy there, Red Devil Weekly. Kieran, what's going on, brother? Yeah. The fact that, and this is what I never got the fact that we're missing creativity. Lots of creativity. We're still missing it now. But like I said, the more players we put on a pitch that can create their own opportunity or create for others, the better opportunity we have of scoring goals and affecting the game in a positive way. For me, we still need more. We still need to be safe from possession. We still need to have someone that's going to screen our back line a bit better than the Matic. Red 92, you need a big squad. We can't sell everyone. That's it. We do need a squad. If we're going to be fighting all fronts, that's the FA Cup, League Cup, League, Champions League. Hopefully next season, we do need a squad. We do need a squad, and that's why we can't sell everyone. Rasmus, get well soon. Yeah, I'm on the road to recovery. Nothing major, man. Just a bit of a thumb injury. Dwight Hastings says we just need to stop play this negative football at times. Yeah, that's a good point. If we can manage to, because I still feel like we play one type of football. I don't feel like we play two or three different ways. We play normally. Well, we have been playing normally just counter-attacking football. I think the fact that Bruno comes in, you see him organising, orchestrating, saying to that player, you go there. This is when I want the ball. The fact that he came and played one game, then he went off to the warm weather training. I think that couldn't have been timed better for Manchester United, and especially Bruno Fernandes. So for me, Bruno's, from what I've seen, his influence so far, he can step us up a notch. As I say, I think we still need a bit more to get anywhere near start challenging. We still need a consistent number 9 goal scorer. Rashford was getting there, but he's an inverted winger. He's an inside forward. He'll come in off that left hand side and create opportunities and goal scoring chances for himself and others. Terry Weeks, Shane, I'm not sure about the blue cast, bruv. You could have asked for a red one. That's my guy Terry there. Yeah, that's a good point. Red wasn't an option, man. Oli Yumi says Haaland and Greenwood are on the same pedestal because Haaland is 19 also. So yeah, interesting point. I don't know if Greenwood's on Haaland's kind of level yet, because Haaland's done it in 3 different countries essentially: Norway, Austria, and now Germany. I can't say he's done it in Germany yet, but he is doing it. He's in the process of getting there. So, yeah, I feel like Greenwood, I don't want to start him too much. I just do not want to start him too. We look at Rashford now. He's played since he was, 17? Continually, consistently. And now he's out with a stress fracture injury to his lower back, and he's out for the rest of the season, possibly to miss the tournament in the summer as well. So for me, that comes, and not forgetting Rashford's been in the World Cup, he's been in the Euros, he's consistently been there since he was 16 even. It wasn't since he was 17. He's consistently been in the side. He's only 21 now. He's already played full 4 seasons, and the injury Rashford has now is purely because of playing too much football. So I don't want the same thing to happen to Mason Greenwood. Ultimately, we don't pick what happens and who plays and when, but you would have thought that these guys that are so-called advisors, medical specialists, are going to say to Ollie, and all this technology that I have now, oh, he's played a bit too much football, and well, you're going to lose one game maybe if Rashford doesn't play, or draw a game because he don't play. Now he's out for the rest of the season. So you have to look at then who sits at the top then, because that's an Ollie decision. I'd like to think that we've got the medical staff that would be saying to him, he's probably paid to play too much with all the technology that we've got available. Even if we didn't have the technology available, I could see that he's played too much football. Ollie should be able to. His assistants, coaches, whatever. But Anyway, that doesn't come down to us. Everton already leading. Let's have a look. Banter FC is back. Terry Weeks, was good to see us get the result today. Would have been a disaster if Watford had taken more points off us. It absolutely would have been a disaster. The fact that we lost them before, and then Burnley, and then, you know, Everton. Listen, the fact that we were losing silly games, and then was coming close against the big teams. Obviously, we'd beaten Tottenham, we'd beaten Leicester, we'd beaten Spurs, we didn't beat Liverpool. We come close in the 1-0 defeat, and then obviously losing 2-0 on the return. But as long as we keep beating the teams we're supposed to, and the teams in and around us, like Wolves, we should have beaten Wolves when we played them as well at home. I know it's a 0-0 draw, but we should have beaten them. Now, there was it 1 point behind us, I think it is. So Wolves are 2 points behind us. Sheffield United and Tottenham are 1 point behind us. Like when we dropped, essentially, as I see it, 2 points against Sheffield United. When we were 3-1 down, we came back to 3-2. We took the game. 2-1 down. We came back to winning 3-2, and then we conceded a third goal. Schoolboy error. Total schoolboy error. So for me, those are the games where you can count. Obviously, Burnley was a ridiculous loss result. Absolutely ridiculous to lose against Burnley. Come on, man. That's you can't really say much about it other than it's just pathetic. It's a pathetic loss. We shouldn't be losing games like that. So for me, as long as we beat all the teams that are around us now, we beat the teams that we should be beating. We come, as I said, we've got a couple of big games coming up still, but we can't. We need to be, like I said, maybe we can afford to drop 4 points, a loss and a draw. That's about it. Dwight says, once we have McTominay ready to start, we'll be faster and quicker in the midfield, up to the forwards. It's a good point. One thing I want to say, though, is because Fred's been pretty consistent. So do we feel like Fred's going to keep his place? Or do we feel like Matic is going to keep his place? Because if they both keep his place, then McTominay is coming off the bench. And because we've not been conceding goals, do we disrupt that team as it is now? Or do we keep it as it is? That's what I'd like to know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because for me, when you've got a certain level of consistency, a certain level of understanding, to disrupt that because players are coming back. If, for example, you've got Fred not playing great, and then you bring McTominay on, he plays better, or Matic isn't playing great, and then you bring McTominay on and plays better, those are the times where you can chop and change. But do you now bring in McTominay? Because for me, Bruno Fernandes has got to start every game. So, I think Ollie was wise in not starting Bruno in the first leg of the European Cup game. What do we do? Because Scott McTominay he'll be itching to get back into the starting line, guaranteed. But one thing I will say, we've looked a lot more solid with Matic. That's what I will say. And I would say Fred is very dynamic. He has a lot of work rate. He has the effort. He has the determination. Quality-wise, I feel like both him, Matic, and McTominay, quality-wise, I don't think they have what we need. As Manchester United central midfielders, I still don't think them three are good enough. I feel we need to add, on top of what we've already got with Matic, McTominay, and Fred, add one top quality central midfielder to go next to Bruno, and then we can make do for now, maybe, with Fred, McTominay, and Matic rotating in. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Ultimatum said, I would buy Milan Pjanic. He is very creative and Juventus' most important midfielder. Also, Edin Dzeko would be a good 34, but goal scorer nonetheless. A short option to have and very experienced. Edin Dzeko, he is a goal scorer. I'm not too fussed about people's ages, if I'm honest. That's why I was shouting from the skies for Mario Mandzukic to come and join up. Everyone was saying, no, he's too old. He's only still 32, but his work rate, he's very good in the air. He's a physical player. As I said, his work rate is second to none. Edson Cavani, his contract's running out in the summer. Why we don't going through now and sign him, is give him a 2-year contract. Dzeko, same thing, similar thing. I haven't got a problem with these kind of players. These are the type of players that we could bring in to affect the game in a different way for us. They're different types of players. That's what you want to see at Manchester United. Some basically alternative options. If we've got everyone the same, everything's going to end up the same for us. Igalo got on, as I say. He is normally historically better in the air than Martial, Rashford, Greenwood. But he needs to be given the opportunity to play and get those opportunities put up to him. So for me, if he's not going to get those opportunities, then yeah, what's the point? Matic is slow up the midfield with Fred. McTominay is much quicker along with Bruno. Wow, what a young midfield. Yeah, it's a good point. Experience isn't a bad thing in and around the squad. But yeah, it's a very young midfield, talented midfield. Miriam Pjanic is a fantastic shout there from the ultimatum. Again, that's one I'd love to see. Is it possible? Probably not. As ultimatum said, he's Juventus's most important central midfielder, so it's probably not one that we'll end up doing. One player I'd like to see is Marco Verratti. Yeah, that's one player I'd like to see, Verratti. He's small in stature, but his work ethic, his technical ability is absolutely fantastic. So, it's just like, to me, he's like a, in all honesty, he's like a chihuahua, always biting ankles, never giving up, just chasing around. But he's got bags of quality as well. So he'd be my favorite choice. Let's go back to comments. Shaolin Soldier, what's good, brother? That's my guy. What's going on, man? Guys, if you're into gaming content, go and check out Shaolin Soldier's YouTube page, man. Guys, amazing. Brian Harkin, great win for the confidence. Just lost that one there. We only get better. Completely agree there, Brian. Listen, Brian's touched on something fantastic there. Confidence and continuity, morale. You're getting used to winning. How do you breed winners? You win. That's the best way to breed winners, is winning and winning some more. Because if you're continuously winning, you're creating an environment of winning. You'll get Mason Greenwood used to getting certain opportunities and scoring goals. Everyone basically becomes second nature. You know, they become, if you like, cerebral around each other. So if we can get used to winning, get used to playing a certain way, getting used to dominating teams again, man. That's what I feel like we need. We need to be able to get used to dominating teams, and ultimately that just creates a winning mentality. Jody Bean, stick to bringing in the younger players, 20 to 25. That's what we need to do. Good point there, Jody. I don't entirely agree, but it's a good point. I feel like if we're building, like, for example, Bruno Fernandes, 24, 25, the fantastic age, you can still get 7 or 8 fantastic seasons out of him. So Maguire, same thing. Wan-Bissaka, you're looking at 10 to 12 years. Mason Greenwood, 15 to 20. Endless. But the point is, yeah, if we bring, but I'm not against experience coming in to form part of the rest of the squad. I don't feel like we can just have at it with purely youth. I feel like we need some experience to be dotted around the squad as well. Manchester United 3. Yo, what's going on, man? The ultimatum, Timo Werner, maybe, he said this is his favourite club. Manchester United wants to play in the Prem, but still he would want game time just as Martial, and that would be the problem. Yeah, for me, if we're going to get a young striker, they're replacing Martial. Now, Timo Werner is a little bit younger by maybe a year than Martial, if not 2. So if you're bringing in someone like Timo Werner, then you're saying bye-bye to Martial. Realistically, that's what we're doing. So for me, if you're bringing in someone like Werner, you're saying bye-bye to Martial realistically, because as you said there, they're both going to want the minutes. They're both going to want to start. Neither of them are going to be happy staying and coming off the bench. That's why you need your likes of Mandzukic or Igalo or Dzeko, as we said, or Cavani. That's why you need the likes of those guys in and around the squad, so they don't mind coming off the bench, so they don't mind coming in and being impact players, being a positive influence in and around the dressing room. That's why you need players like that as well. Manchester United 3 says, we love Man U. Yep. Everyone here loves Man United. Couldn't agree more. Olo Ademola says, who needs Pogba when we are winning games without him? if there was a choice of keeping Pogba and letting Pogba go, if he was happy to stay, I'd still want him to stay. But I completely agree with the fact that we're moving on without Pogba now. You know, let's be honest, we are moving on. We're learning to play without Pogba. We're learning to win without Pogba, which is good because ultimately he's more than likely going to leave. So it's a good point there. Matic holds the ball, holds the ball too long at times. Need to move forward with the ball quicker to Bruno so attack can be more effective. Yeah, listen, and that comes with the type of players that we have. Matic, cerebrally, he's not that type of player. He wants to get the ball, play a simple pass. You know, so if Bruno is not available to play a simple pass to, then he will. He'll be like, where am I going to go? Left, right. That's what he'll do. He's not that type of player that can see a pass quickly and go bang. He's just not that type of player. I wanted to get into the ratings of the players as well. For those of you guys that didn't see the game, make sure you check out the highlights as well. But for me, David De Gea didn't have tons to do, but I'll give him a safe 6. Wan-Bissaka, solid again. I'll give him a 7. Maguire, I'll give him a 7 because he was marshalling the team at times. Lindelof, I'll give him a 6. You know, it was steady. Shaw, 6 as well. I'll give him. Midfield is where we kind of stepped up the game, and Matic, I'll give him a 7. He was comfortable enough. Fred, 7. Bruno Fernandes, I'll give him an 8 because he was just orchestrating. As I mentioned before, his pass completion rating wasn't that great at 69%, but that's only because he was trying to force the issue more often than not. So Bruno Fernandes, give it 8. Greenwood, I'll give it 7. He was in and out of the game. Brilliant goal. Daniel James, I'll give a 6. Daniel James, I feel like he plays better off the left-hand side, but you just want more from him, more consistency. That's why I believe we'll possibly look at signing another winger, potentially. But if we do, and because of the way we play as a free up top, then you're looking at either taking out Rashford, Martial, or Greenwood. So for me, maybe going after a winger when you've got Greenwood coming in, playing off that left-hand side, off the right-hand side, maybe isn't the smartest thing to do. Or unless you're going to look at playing Greenwood down the middle, which I don't feel is ready for yet. So, yeah, as I say, Daniel James is 6, and I'll go with giving Martial a 7 as well. I don't feel like we dominated like we should have, like we could have. Before we scored the goal, I just felt like we weren't forcing the issue. I don't feel like we was, if you like, I don't feel like we were putting our stamp on the game. I feel like we were just waiting for stuff to happen. I don't feel like we was forcing the issue. So for me, yeah, that's why, you know, as overall as a team, I'd only give it a 7 out of 10 as well today, because as I said, there was times where I don't feel like we forced the issue enough where it was there for the taking. So we need Messi, says Manchester United 3. We do need Pogba. We do need Pogba. He's overrated. He's good. Talk to me. Give me a shout out. There goes your shout out there, Manchester United 3. What's going on, bro? Let's have a look. The ultimatum saying confidence is important. Some players like Jesse have mental health problems and fans aren't helping him. They're still making fun of him, and I think it's messed up. Real fans would help him through it. So touching on a good point there with the ultimatum, Jesse Lingard. So for those of you who don't know, he's taken on his younger siblings, and they are quite young. I think they're both in lower school. So because there's issues with Jesse Lingard's mum. So it's obviously affected him on the pitch. So, you know, I suppose that's the case. That's how it goes sometimes. But if you look at it personally, there's things that are always going to affect players. It's whether or not they can overcome it and keep to their consistent levels on the pitch. I agree that we shouldn't be slandering him. I don't think he helped himself with taking Mina Raiola as his agent, though. You know, it doesn't bode well because we don't do well with that guy. But yeah, it's a good point there about Jesse Lingard. Jody Bean says, with a solid back 4 in place now, what about a midfield 4 of Fred, McTominay, Bruno? And if we kept Pogba, I feel we would have something that can get us back to competing for titles again. Jody, that's quite a not a bad point. It obviously have to be a diamond. like the old AC Milan days where they had Gattuso, Kaká, Seedorf. I can't remember who else they had, but that's not a bad point. Bruno Fernandes maybe is the point at that diamond. Pogba to the left of the diamond, McTominay to the right, alternating with Fred, and then Matic sitting in front of the defense, or McTominay and Fred. Not a bad shout. I'd still feel like we'd need to, if we was going to play a diamond, as I say, Bruno at the point of the diamond, Pogba to the left of the diamond. And I'd still want to bring another midfielder. I still believe that Fred and McTominay are not good enough to be starting central midfielders. When they receive the ball under pressure, they give it away a lot. Keep making the right passes. They don't give it away tons, but I still feel like there's better ball playing or possession midfielders that are out there that we can actually go and purchase. You look at how much Bruno Fernandes has improved our midfield. If we had those four, or Bruno Fernandes, Pogba, and one other central midfielder that we could bring in, or maybe Adrian Rabiot is a good shout, or a specialist defensive midfielder. Then maybe we could keep Fred and McTominay alternating that one of the spots in midfield. But I feel like we can't. We need another specialist midfielder, either a central midfielder that's a ball playing midfielder, or a specialist central defensive midfielder who's going to replace Matic, because I don't feel like McTominay or Fred can do the CDM role well enough to protect the back four. And that would leave Rashford or Martial up top, with Greenwood coming off the bench. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not a bad shout, that was, Jody. Daniel Mensa says, since Bruno arrived, Maguire is very serious to score a goal. Yeah, that's a great point there, Daniel. We all know what a danger Harry Maguire can and has been for Leicester and England in terms of being a goal-scoring option, but he hadn't shown it often enough before Bruno arrived. Now, obviously, Maguire nearly scored again today. Daniel, you're right, from a corner with his head again. So you're right there. He is a goal-scoring threat, more so now that Bruno Fernandes is on the set pieces, and that's a great point that someone made earlier, that he's a set-piece specialist as well. Mr. Kajar, Bruno's coming and looks 10 times as competent on the ball as Pogba, not taking 15 shots and not rolling his foot over the ball for 30 seconds is really helping our creativity. It's not a bad shout there, Mr. Kajar. I think Pogba is still. I remember when Pogba made his second debut when we brought him back from Juventus. He was just 10 times better than anything we had, both technically and physically. He was 10 times better than what we had. I still believe that Pogba all round is probably the best central midfielder that we have, but I think just need to get over the fact that he's going to leave. That's all it is now. So yeah, I'd like to see us buying a replacement for Pogba. Bruno Fernandes is fantastic. I don't believe he'll be enough on his own, but Bruno is a fantastic buy. He will create lots of opportunities. It will, because he's a threat to score himself. He's a threat to do a 1-2 himself and have a shot. He's a threat to take a long shot himself. He's a threat to play a through ball or ball over the top. He's just a threat. So he commands attention already. When we had McTominay, Fred, and Matic, or McTominay, Fred, and Pereira, no one was worried about those guys spreading passes around. No one was worried about them guys bursting into the area. No one was worried about their free kicks. No one was worried about them playing through balls because they couldn't do it. Simple as that. So yeah, the fact that the more players that we put on the pitch that can either create for themselves or create for others, the better opportunity we'll have, because the other opposition's got to look out for this player, that player, that player, and they've got to worry about multiple options. Whereas before, we didn't have that. Teams were only having to worry about Rashford and Pogba. But now that Pogba's got a long-term injury, they was only worried about Rashford. Now that Rashford got injured, they was only having to, sometimes worry about Martial because he's inconsistent. They didn't have anything else to worry about, so it's too easy. Now that we've got Greenwood playing as well, Greenwood will come on, and he's consistent as well. But yeah, more players that we have that creates opportunities for themselves and others, the better. Adamoto says, Sporting Lisbon has always been given Man U players who always do well and right from the beginning. I know Bruno will not be different. Up Bruno. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, Nani, Ronaldo. Yeah, we've done some good business with Sporting. Mr. Kajar says also, what do you make of Wilder getting clapped? Yeah, so I didn't start to watch it live. I watched the full fight though back on highlights, not highlights, sorry, the extended version afterwards. Yeah, man. I don't I don't like when people get too cocky. So the fact that Wilder was getting really cocky is one of those, just taking down a peg. But now he may come back a better fighter. You don't know, because Wilder always had that big haymaker. So, he relied on that a lot because, he knew how devastating it was. But yeah, Fury gave him a bit of boxing lesson. It was good to see. I like boxing also. So yeah, it was good to see that. Joey B, thanks, bro. No worries, man. It was a good point. Adamoto says, I think Bruno is more of a leader than Maguire. Woo! Ooh, that's not a bad shout, but I like the aptitude and attitude that Bruno has come into the team with. The fact that he's coming in, you can see him orchestrating, organizing, demanding is very, very good to see. I think Maguire's got the armband and it's going to stick with Maguire now. Whether he's a better leader than Maguire or not, I'm not too sure. But you can never have too many leaders or too many people or examples to follow on the pitch. So the fact that Bruno's another natural leader, fantastic. Brilliant for us. Brilliant for Manchester United. Long may it continue. Long period of time we've been crying out for leaders and people that are going to, hold other players accountable whilst they're on the pitch. That's what we've been missing. A la Kino, a la Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, Evra, Giggsy, Scholesy. All those guys hold their other teammates accountable. So it's great to see that as well. And you can't teach that either. Daniel Messi says, Oli should replace Chong, Gomez ahead of, Chong and Gomez ahead of Lingard and Pereira. Listen, for those of you who've seen my videos before, you'll know that I'm a big Angel Gomez fan. Chong's okay. I don't know about, I wouldn't be too sorry to see Chong go. Technically, I don't think he's ever going to be good enough for Manchester United. Angel Gomez, on the other hand, is technically good enough, but I think Ollie's got this thing with him being too small, which I think is wrong. But I think Ollie's made his mind up about both of those guys, unfortunately. So it's unfortunate, but that's where I feel like we are at the moment. So yeah, I'd like ultimately I'd like us to have an identity of a club, which that detracts from whatever manager wants to do. The club, we have our own ethos, we have our own structure, we have our own identity. So any manager we bring in has to adapt to that, or agree with that, or be able to work with that. Just like what Barcelona do. Barcelona have their own ethos as a club. Whichever manager comes into the club, they've got to do and manage how Barcelona want them to manage. That's how we should be as well. What else we got? Just go to the comments. Mr. Kajar says, definite leadership qualities in Bruno. You can see him driving other players. I don't mind Maguire's captain, but he needs leaders around him too. Brilliant point there. As I said before, you can never have too many leaders on the pitch or in and around the squad, holding people accountable. That's what it's all about. Taking responsibility, because you're not going to take responsibility if no one's holding you accountable. Palmaris, what's going on, bruv? What's up, man? Bruno masterclass today. I completely agree. And it breeds confidence. When you get to a certain level and you're doing certain things in a certain way on a consistent basis, it breeds confidence. It breeds consistency. It breeds a certain mentality behind you. So yeah, I completely agree. Rasmus A says, I was shocked that Bailly wasn't involved after being man of match against Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea scum, I've just seen that. I was shocked, if I'm honest, because of how well he done, especially against Chelsea. I just hope there's not another injury, but it was on the bench, so I was shocked to see him not involved also. But hopefully that doesn't continue and he just comes back in and takes Lindelof's spot, and him and Maguire create a massive, brilliant partnership. The ultimatum says, would you rather have Richarlison or Traore? I would rather have Richarlison, to be honest. You know what I always say? I've stopped playing competitive football last season. Played at a pretty decent level before that. But one thing I'd always say is there is no substitute for pace and power. How do you defend against someone that is just physically stronger than you. Like when Didier Drogba used to play, he used to bully defenders, and they couldn't handle it. How did you defend against Thierry Henry or Nicolas Anelka or Ryan Giggs when they're just quicker than you? What do you do with that? When players just quicker than you or stronger than you, what do you do? Richarlison is a very good player. Do I think he will reach those levels? I don't know. I'd prefer Traore. That's why I'm making a point about pace and power. You see what we're like when we face Adama Traore. There's about 3 or 4 of our players getting around him to stop him getting a full head of steam because how dangerous he is when he does that. Whereas the players like Richarlison, you can kind of manage them throughout the game. Don't get me wrong, Richarlison is a very good player, but most defenders, most teams fear nothing more than pace, more than anything else. Pace is just, you can't defend it, or you end up playing a completely different way to defend against it, or try and neutralize it. That's why I'd take Adama Traore. Raymore, can't wait next season to see Rashford linking up with Bruno. Is Rashford really done for this season? Unfortunately, Raymond, I believe he is. From what I read on a few different sources now was that there was already a suspected single stress fracture that there was so-called managing. That's why you've seen him in some photos with this apparatus around his waist and lower back. But through still playing, because they believe that they could manage it and he could still play, and whatever treatment he had before or after games, still continue to play too much, and because he's a high impact, high torque player, it just went and it ended up as a double stress fracture. So unfortunately, I feel like he'll be done for this season. If he does come back, it won't be till like the last couple of games in May, unfortunately. Daniel mentioned you saw how Maguire played with Bailly with Chelsea. Lindelof doesn't suit Maguire playing together, but Bailly suits playing with Maguire. Great point. I completely agree there. I'd like to see that happen a lot more. Rasmus A says, by the way, I think we are not alone in having an incompetent board. Barcelona signing Martin Braithwaite and sticking with Valverde for too long, and then their incompetent CEO hiring a PR like Ed did. Yeah, it's not a bad point. I think it's more to do with La Liga as well, not just their board. I think La Liga allowing them to sign Martin Braithwaite. Go to youth, just like everyone else has to. You've gone past it. Barcelona is supposed to have one of the best academies in Europe, if not the world. So, go to your academy like everyone else would have to. Mr. Kajar, how do you defend against stronger and faster players? You put one on them in the first five minutes. I love that. Yeah, that's what I'd do anyway. Right in the top of just above their knee. No, it's a good point. Well, Maguire rested him to the floor and pulled his arm out of socket, didn't he? That's how he stopped him. Daniel Mensah, Rashford could have one golden boot this season because of injury. Yeah, man. Great point there, Daniel. Rashford was on pace for a 30-goal season, man. He was on 19 goals. He was second in the Premier League in terms of top goal scorer. It's just a shame. Crying shame. It's just a shame that it came down to injury and the fact that we've not listened to doctors. I'm sure if they hadn't suggested to Ollie that he's playing too many games, then there's something wrong at the club. But it's come from somewhere where even without doctors, you could see that he's played too many games. Simple as that. Everton United will be difficult. Yeah, with Ancelotti going in at Everton, that's not an easy game, man. That's really not. So it'll be interesting to see how we go in that game, but I don't know. I can't call that one. The fact that we're keeping clean sheets, that's a positive. The fact that players are getting used to Bruno, they're playing 1-2s, man. 1-2s in football is such a simple thing, but it's so effective, and we just haven't done it for years. So the fact that you see players bouncing the ball off Bruno and making that run because they know that they're going to get it back with the quality necessary, that shows that they're working together in training and they're gaining confidence in Bruno. They've got confidence in his ability. So that in itself is really good to see. So yeah, much appreciate if you guys joining me. Enjoyed that one, and I'm trying my best. The reason I've not been doing much uploads is because of this bugger. So I normally do a bit more in terms of pre-recorded content, but because I do all the editing and stuff on my phone, and I'm right-handed, it's just, and obviously I use my thumb. It's bloody awkward. So yeah. Do you think Ollie should use Bruno, Fred, Scott together for Everton game? No, I'd still stick with Matic and bring McTominay on. McTominay is not going to be up to match fitness or match speed yet, but knowing Scott McTominay is going to be doing his damnedest to be getting there. So I wouldn't start with McTominay. I'd start with Matic again. Matic, he's a wily old fox. He knows what he's doing. So I'd stick to what we've got. But anyway, much appreciate you guys joining me, and I shall see you in the next one. Don't forget to catch me on during the week with some of the pre-recorded content as well, guys. All right, take care. I shall see you next one. See you later.